get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted. Still I realize the time that I wasted here. I feel like you can't feel the way I feel. I'd be fucked up if you keep me right here. I'd be fucked up if you can't be right here. I do the same thing. I told you that I never would. I told you I'd change, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I do the same thing. I told you that I never would. I told you I'd change, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. When I'm away from you, I miss your touch. You're the reason I believe in love. It's been difficult for me to trust, and I'm afraid that I'ma fuck it up. I'd be fucked up if you can't be right here. I do the same thing. I told you that I never would. I told you I'd change, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. I do the same thing. I told you that I never would. I told you I'd change, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay. That afro black boy with the gold teeth, he dark skinned, looking at me like he know me. I wonder if he got the G or the B. Let me find out and see. He coming over to me, yeah. These days I'm way too lonely. I'm missing out, I know. These days I'm way too alone, and I'm known for giving love away, but I want someone to love me. I need someone who needs me. 'Cause it don't feel right when it's late at night and it's just me in my dreams. So I want someone to love. That's what I fucking want. You know it's harder to find in these times, but I got nothing but love on my mind. I need a baby while I'm in my prime. Need an adversary to my down and weary. These days I'm way too lonely. I'm missing out, I know. These days I'm way too alone, and I'm known for giving love away, but I want someone to love me. I need someone who needs me. 'Cause it don't feel right when it's late at night and it's just me in my dreams. So I want someone to love. That's what I fucking want.
We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? We don't talk anymore like we used to do. I just heard you found the one you've been looking, that you've been looking for. I wish I would have known that wasn't me. 'Cause even after all this time I still wonder why I can't move on just the way you did so easily. I don't wanna know kind of dress you're wearing tonight, if he's holding on to you so tight the way I did before. I overdosed. Should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my brain. Oh, it's Must be a good reason that you're gone. Every now and then I think you might want to come show that you're done, but I'm just too afraid that I'll be wrong. I don't wanna know if you're looking into her eyes. She's holding on you so tight, the way I did before. I overdosed, should've known your love was a game. No, I can't get you out of my brain.
All right. What is going on, everybody? I hope we're having a good Friday here.
We don't talk anymore.
I know whoever held some puts yesterday into today is definitely doing good, that's for sure.
We don't laugh
SPY is falling down a lot this morning into open.
We don't talk anymore.
That was a bad drop-off, guys.
We don't talk anymore.
Wow. I almost couldn't even believe it when I woke up today. I turned over, picked up the phone, immediately went to the SPY, and was blown away. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it dropped off that much again, but it doesn't surprise me that much because we've been seeing so much crazy drops lately. I will say it's a pain in the ass that they all keep happening at 5 in the morning. That's a pain in the ass. Or in after hours, like Wednesday night. When the market actually opens, there's no, there's not the best movement, is there? Decent. There was decent movement yesterday. I gotta give it that. Good enough, anyways. Ivan's scared. Don't be scared, Ivan. Nvidia just tested the $100 resistance and rejected really hard. $100 coming into play. Rip, Chromie said. Man, that's a big drop there off 100 Nvidia. Oh no, what's the book map look like? I'm sure there was a huge stack. There was, it actually wiped it. It was a decent stack, it wasn't the biggest. 95 has like 895,000 shares at 95 bucks. What the heck is up with that? $98, wow. That drop off is something else. Tesla 260. All right, how's Apple? Oh man, if Apple was testing 200 at the same time, it would be like something special. Everything touching a major level all at once.
Let's run away
That would be pretty funny, but
from these lies.
man, Nvidia, that is a good touch at 100. I love it. Very good reaction. It's down to like pre-market, like a good pre-market support here. 98.30 to 98. Might end up breaking below. Getting some more selling pressure coming in. Something to watch for with Nvidia here. Watch this hit and this support at 97. There could be a pretty crazy setup going on here where as Nvidia drops, you could maybe try to identify a bounce here or a dip buy back to the upside, potentially. Obviously, right now, there's a lot of selling pressure, so it's kind of a scary trend reversal type of trade there, but there is good support right there. That'd be looking like a pretty good head and shoulders pattern if I've ever seen one at the time. Of course, be cautious with that. With the selling. But you shouldn't marry one direction, so don't marry the downside necessarily either. SPY does look pretty bad though, 524.20. Had to cancel my golf lesson again today. This rain sucks. Don't forget JP speaks today, 11:25 a.m. Eastern Time. 10:25 Central. I'll try to have that up. What's up, Steve? What's up? What's up? Yeah, I read the chat. Come on, Steve, give me a break. Busted my balls out here this morning. I'm just joking, Steve. You're all good, my man. He said, any thoughts on Rhine metal? Wow, I haven't heard of that one. That's a German metal company, isn't it? They're linking up with another arms producer got given a contract by the government. Nice, by the German government. Their name, I feel like I've heard of this one over the years, of course. It's not one that I look at very often, though, being a foreign company the way that it is. I can't even trade it, I don't think. I'll be honest, though. Oh my gosh, what a stock. Wow. I gotta say, though, Rhine metal. I wish it was on the U.S. market. My gosh. I forget where I've heard of this one before. Maybe just because it's such a big company, but... Weapons manufacturer. Gotcha. Maybe that's why I've heard of it then. I wonder what kind of weapons they make. Let's see. I'm curious. Let's look up some pictures. I'm sure they're into all time. Oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah, they're into a lot of stuff. Wow. They make like 40mm like cartridges for like, it looks like grenade launchers and like cannons and all types of shit. Wow. Look at this stuff, guys. This is just some of the stuff, of course, I'm sure. I really like these shells here. These look cool. Yeah. Those launchers like that are cool. Darn. How do you trade them, Steve? Are you in Germany? I'm just asking for a friend. New Zealand. Ah, okay. Gotcha. I don't even know how I would begin to trade that in the US here. You know what? I would tell you this. It seems very, very high at the moment. If I was looking at a chart, it seems extremely high, RHM. I would be a little bit skeptical of buying it too high, but I'll be honest, it looks really solid. Hunter just put in the chat, cool trick for you guys using TradingView. Hit Alt plus I. Things will look better. Uh-oh. Oh. Inversing it. I didn't know that did that. That's so funny. Let's go to the SPY. And let's do all I. Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. Guys, the SPY is going up. That's so funny. I was wondering how you inversed it. I figured I'd have to go to some setting, but they have a hotkey. That's pretty cool. SPY's really pulling back though this morning. Pretty nasty. Nvidia off 100, still falling down towards 97. I like it pulling back here. 96.50. Watching the low 95.50 on the day. Looks like it's breaking down a bit more. We're not seeing any good confirmation off that support here at 97 at all. Breaking right through it, so definitely not watching for a hit there anymore. Don't get Christian mad if he's here. Anti-drone cannon? Skynex? That sounds really cool. Skynex. Steve said it's 3 a.m. for you, the things you do for the stock market. I gotta give you a hand, and everybody out there who wakes up super early for the stocks, it's pretty cool. I hear some stories like that every so often. Let's go look at the Mag 7 here today. That's why we have it set up. Nvidia pulling back, of course. The rest is actually holding up fairly well, besides Tesla. Look at Microsoft, Amazon, Google's trying to recover. Let's go look at Microsoft today on the 1 minute. Very weird setup. I will say, this lines up awfully well here. Watch this. Oh. Hang on. I messed up. Now watch. I don't know. Pretty crazy trend going on here. A lot of lower highs. Will this trend continue? Or will we get a slight pop back above the trend? Probably going to go with the trend continuing down, but I think it's kind of strange how these Mag 7 stocks are very stuck and flat this morning, for the most part. TSM, Ghost said. Taiwan Semiconductors. Damn. What a drop. Past couple trading days, they got hit hard. Looking at the daily on Taiwan Semiconductor, there's this dip down here that definitely is calling my name in the short term. Down to like 140 to like 133. I love this. These hits down there around this level. TSM on the daily, falling off. A lot of good intraday action. Looks like they might try to test the low of the day here at 147. If they break under that, keep watching for more downside action. I had it put on my watch list for TSM. Wish I bought it. Could have been pretty good. Ride it open there. Going back to NVIDIA, well under 97. Staying under the support. Testing the low of the day. Let's see what it does here. Is it test 97 again? I'm sure the bears are looking for more of a rejection here back down. That would be good confirmation, but we do need some good downtrend to come into play. Not coming into play yet. Keep watching though. Give or take a little bit here, but let's see. Having a lot of reaction around this 97 area though. Oh, big red now coming in. Lot of shifts here. The thing I'm a little worried about is if the SPY tries to post a higher low here. It's in like a bit of a point where we're like, okay, which direction are we gonna go? Right? That's kind of like where we are here. Like, are we gonna continue down? Are we gonna flush below that low of the day? Or are we gonna post that higher low and start to, like, you know, recover back up a bit more? It's definitely a point on the chart of NVIDIA that I don't love. SPY's starting to recover back a bit. Something that would be crucial for the SPY's price action today would be to get above this resistance from pre-market. This resistance zone that posted up in pre-market around 524 to 526.50, 527 is pretty huge. A good sign on the day for the SPY as far as the bulls would be to actually get above here in some type of meaningful way on the recovery. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see like a gap fill up to like 532, maybe even up to like 534, 535, but that would be a tough call to make right here, especially while we're still in this overall downtrend. If we do break that pre-market resistance though, that would kind of show that the SPY is starting to kind of break that structure, and we might finally start to see like a test of like that 532 level. But again, that's just something to look out for. It's not something to like enter into right now, but something to think about as the day goes forward. Like, let's say an hour, 2 hours from now, you know, you're watching the SPY and it is starting to do that. That's something that I'd like to have in your mind so you could think about it and be ready when it happens. Same to the downside, like we talked about. We're going over both sides here because right now it's kind of stuck, and I want to see a better directional move out of this little range of the morning. You can try to trade the range of the morning too. You know, that's always an opportunity. Not always my favorite way to go in these wild markets, but all right, let's see. MSTR book map. Let's see. I'll load it up real quick. Have a look at RTX. Raytheon. You reckon they could bounce? Oh, I just don't love it how they just gap down like that. I don't think that they're gonna bounce like super quickly. I don't think that it's gonna happen like super quick or anything like that. Amazon Bookmap. Here, I'll throw up MicroStrategy really quick. Oh, look at 300 on that stack at MicroStrategy. That's definitely a big level there. Someone else asked for Amazon Bookmap. Here's Amazon, 165. 90,000 share stack there. 175, which is resistance, about to hit. Has a 33,000 share stack. Fairly large there. Amazon, 177. It is what it was, right? No, 175. 75. GME has been holding. I'm looking to see 2270. I try to never look at GameStop if I can help from a ghost. Let's see the daily on it, though. I'll tell you what, this bottom support range on GameStop that's coming up is pretty crucial. Trying to get a little bounce there. Yeah, hey guys, you know, if you guys want the book maps, preferably throw them in Discord. Preferably. GameStop here sitting at $20 on the book map. Let's see, 21 trying to hold. I don't mind looking at a couple, of course, but $20. Let's go to RGTI. RGTI. $20 on GameStop's pretty big. 21. There's some big supports intraday. These sellers that have been coming in and out overhead are a bit weird. All right, Rigetti loaded up. Here we go, $7. I like 730. Rigetti shows a lot of buyers down underneath. Not too many sellers right here on Rigetti. Let's go look at the the actual chart. Keep in mind, even though the book map shows a lot of buyers, it can still break through there. I just want everybody to be aware of that. Just because the book map shows like a lot of support on like GameStop or Rigetti or something, it can still break down through there with momentum in the moment. Volume in the moment is king. It'll wipe out buy orders, but of course, if it's like a big support or something like that, you can always look at the possibility of a bounce, but I would definitely make sure you're looking at momentum as well. And there will always be those times you try to, like, let's say, buy a support, and it will give out from time to time. You know, that's just what happens. That's why stop losses are key, and getting out on those reversals and the plays that go against you quicker are the way to go.
For me to trust, and I'm afraid that I'ma fuck it up.
Thank you, bro. First time tuning in. Let's go, Hugh. CEO Insider Bot. Really? Interesting. That might spur up some action if an Insider Bot. You never know. It is a really good support bounce, and I do gotta say, it's holding up a lot better than most other stocks today, so while I don't necessarily always look at it, it is holding up a lot better, has some decent momentum. There is a lot of resistance, though, 2160. Back onto the SPY. Good morning, Demure. Your streak ended, but you're still up on the week. Damn, but good job on the week at least. Good job on the week. Glad to hear that.
Dark skin looking at me like he know me. I wonder if he got the G or the B. Let me find out and see. He coming over to me, yeah.
We're gonna go to the next song. I don't know what kind of lyrics that was. Sorry, guys. Palantir selling down. $77 coming into play. Look at that low of pre-market. Bouncing right there. Dexter, good morning. Flat on the week? I would say flat on the week is a win this week for most people. I'm being honest. A lot of people are really happy this week, and then there's also a lot that are really pissed. It's kind of like you have opposite ends of the spectrum. I haven't heard many flats, so I'm glad to hear that at least. I got one more play, though, to make it back to green. Just got to be patient. Just like Seinfeld. I don't know the reference there, but that's pretty funny. I love some Seinfeld. That's actually something I've seen. Colin says, what is Powell thinking this morning? Cut rates and you risk inflation skyrocketing again? Hike rates to fight inflation from tariffs and no growth, especially housing market. Sounds kind of like a lose-lose. You know, it kind of is. The big thing here is if tariffs keep impacting the economy in a negative way, that's going to push the feds more towards cutting rates. But I totally understand what you're saying, Colin. It seems weird, right? I know what you're saying. The thing is, there's opposite ends of the spectrum. There's a lot of argument out there that, like, let's say if rates get lower and stuff like that, it can spur up more, like, more buying. You know, that is something that a lot of people say. You know, you have lower rates. It gets to the point, like, you can almost, like, borrow to trade. I know that sounds, like, a little crazy, but... It's a little weird out there. I know exactly what you mean, though, with inflation. We'll have to see how the inflation rates start looking. I'm wondering if the tariff impact, though, is going to hurt inflation. Or help it. That is a question that I guess we'll have to see over these next few inflation readings, which will actually be very important. We actually have the next one coming up on April 10th. I don't even like that one, though. I think the May reading will be the more important reading, but I guess technically it would be the April reading, but it'll be in May. Just FYI. It's a good conversation, though, Colin, honestly. One that gets you thinking, right? I think that they're going to probably go for the cutting of rates, if I had to assume. That's really what the market's pricing in, which is kind of crazy. Maybe we're also a little early. Maybe we also need to, like, let things play out a little bit. We're like day one into this. QQQ sitting here around 440, 450. And that resistance on SPY, 526. Tom Lee says April 9th bounce. What's going on April 9th? Oh, the minutes. The FOMC minutes. What else is going on April 9th, though? $10-year note auction? Yeah, we'll see. Tom Lee seems to be awfully correct sometimes. It's not that hard to be a mega bull, though, I'll say, but... Didn't Tom Lee say something about Bitcoin being at a certain price or something? I feel like whenever the stuff goes against him, everyone forgets about it. But whenever it works out, they're all happy. I don't know what to think about Tom Lee. Obviously a very highly respected individual. Yeah, that's kind of what I heard, Chromie. Like, I appreciate Tom Lee, you know, giving his commentary and all of that, but I do, you know, I felt like he was calling the bottom, like, every day, and then it just keeps going down, and I know, though, recently he's came out and said some stuff about some dips and stuff like that, but I don't follow him close enough to, like, make any real statements there, but... I know he makes a lot of calls, like, he likes to make calls, like, he'll say, like, I see the SPY at this level by March, or something, right? Obviously, sometimes those work out, sometimes they don't. At the end of the day, you know, he's out there making some calls. I gotta give him some credit for at least doing it, right? It's a tough thing to do. In front of a lot of people. That's what it was. BTC, 150K by the end of the year. Okay, that's what it was. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. That could still easily happen. But it would be kind of nuts, but it could. Those psychics on TV. That's funny. Absolutely appreciate the insights. I guess it all depends when tariff impacts will show up in the data. Yeah. Yeah, it could be, Colin. That would still be a little early. Well, that's the thing. It'll probably take more like, let's say, 4 months to probably feel the real effects. Maybe even like 6 months. That's a good point. Great combo, though. You know, I'll be honest. Probably the best one of the day. Definitely gets you thinking there. And there's a lot of what ifs. I'm really looking at the US 10Y, and I'm looking at these yields falling, and it's making me very happy. Here's one thing that makes me happy with this, Colin. If we continue to see the yields drop down the way that they are, it will start to spur some good, like, let's say, housing market activity. Even if, like, the stock market's low, there could be, like, some buying activity out there. One dynamic that I'm thinking of is, like, let's just say that the stock market's low. We might not get as much, like, let's say, real estate investors into the market at the time. Now, obviously, guys, there still will be a lot. I'm just saying, like, maybe not to the extent of, like, the last housing boom. Because if that market's low, it's going to be strapping a lot of those people. Whereas before, a lot of them were banking off COVID. All right. Bitcoin won't be 100K by the end of the year? You don't think so? He says, I just don't think it will because the biggest Bitcoin news already happened with that reserve and it did nothing for it. I feel like people are bearish on it now. A lot of year left, though. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good thought, you know? It's okay to be on the other side, too. There are periods where Bitcoin goes down for multiple years, like, you know, 2022 into 2023. It fell pretty much one whole year. From 2018 to 2020, it was pretty much flat. And it usually goes flat right after a big rip. So I really don't blame you there, Mason. You know, we just went on a big rip. We just broke the high. I don't think your thinking is that off, personally. You think Jerome will tank the market? That's a good question. I don't think that he will necessarily tank the stock market today. I am, though, worried about what he says about all of this uncertainty. Now, here's one thing that I'm very hopeful with Powell today. If Jerome Powell comes out and he's fairly optimistic, and like, let's just say this, hypothetically, okay? He comes out and he says something along the lines of, look, we're assessing the impacts of the tariffs and we will do our jobs to the best of our ability to not let things get out of hand. That might be a statement that would be positive, in my opinion. If he comes out and says, look, I understand the concerns, but we need to see what happens and let things play out a little bit, and we're going to be using our tools to do everything we can to offset any differences to our goals. Like, let's say their 2% inflation goal, or let's say unemployment. They have a couple of mandates there at the Federal Reserve. Let me get an exact definition on these mandates here. 2 primary mandates: price stability, keeping inflation around 2%, and maximum employment, promoting a strong labor market with low unemployment. Those are their 2 main mandates there. They're mandated by Congress to do that. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to worry about anything else besides those 2 things. So, like, let's be real. If inflation sticks where it is, let's pull it up. If inflation sticks where it is right now. Oh, I pull up the wrong one. Damn it. Hang on. There we go. Inflation rate year over year. If we see it stick somewhere, let's just say around this lower 3% range. It could be around 3%, 2.5%, 2.7, 2.9, 3, 3.1, 3.2. As long as it stays like somewhere around this bottom range, and we're continuing to also see, like, let's say the market drop, but employment stays the same, they're not going to do much. There's not going to be like much to offset. Like, they're not out there to like necessarily like, let's just say prop up the SPY 100% of the time, right? Now, if it gets bad enough and we start to see that inflation uptick and stuff, then yes, but again, we have to see how the dynamics play out. But JP's going to have a big speech here today. A lot of people are worried about it. Let's do a quick poll. Will JP get the market going green today, or will it end red? Let's see. Will the market close higher or lower than where it is when Powell starts speaking? All right. Will the market close higher or lower than where it is when Powell starts speaking? Let me know. We have closes higher, closes lower, or closes flat. Like, let's just say Powell started right now. SPY would be at 519.20. Would it be higher or lower? But obviously, he's going to be starting in about an hour. About an hour and 10 minutes here. Does Netflix have / starting to have a head and shoulders pattern? Saul asked. Good question. NFLX. What type of range are you looking at it on? What type of I'm not seeing one here personally. It seemed like there was one starting like right here. There was one like right here this morning in pre-market. If you guys call out setups like a head and shoulders, definitely give me a time range, because it's hard to try to figure out if you mean like a daily or... Oh, you probably mean a daily. It looks pretty close to one on a daily. I see. Yeah, Saul said daily / weekly, yeah. Yeah, it really looks close to one on a daily, but it's not perfect. Like, if it was going to be a perfect head and shoulders, it would have rejected like right here. Now, granted, the stock market's not always perfect, but then again, that begs the question, are these setups perfect, or do they actually matter, play out correctly? I like the resistance either way at 940 now that it's back below there. I think it's definitely playing out that way. It looks like a good bearish setup in my eyes. I could see it going lower, you know, on the day today, but even like tomorrow and stuff too. His tone is what matters. If he sounds pissy, I don't think it's gonna go good. Haha, his tone. That'll be funny. I think it'd be really hilarious if somebody asked him questions about Trump, like a reporter or something. I don't know how it's gonna be set up. He might not even be able to be asked questions like that, but it would be hilarious. Music's getting wild today. Netflix really selling down, though. Love the action to the downside here. It's fantastic. Tesla pulling under 250. Great movement. Testing the low of pre-market. Probably going to end up breaking it at some point. SPY's starting to look pretty brutal, too. That resistance we talked about this morning, this big resistance zone, held up. It held up on the SPY again, and we're back in the middle of the range. Starting to test the low of the day here. Nicholas, what's up? I have not heard anybody ask me about GORO in so much in so long. Goro, Gold Open Resource Corporation. GORO, it's like a gold miner. I only know this one because it was a ticker that I used to look at whenever I was like brand new. I used to look at GORO back when it was like, I don't know, $3 or like back in this time. Good thing I didn't buy it and hold it. Gosh. Thing got crushed. Considering gold went up, that's kind of silly. $2024 drill results. Oh. You heard some good news from it? Well, gosh, it sure is selling off. You could get used to this music. It says this is a luxury car, powerful beats. Some of these titles to the music things on YouTube get me laughing. Let's go check gold itself, actually, which is pulling back quite a bit today again. Kind of rough to see gold. How's the dollar? Moving up. Oh, okay, today. It dropped off hard yesterday, though. Ever since Trump got in, the dollar sure has been pulling back. I know Trump prefers a lower dollar. It helps with trade. That's why China and these other countries do currency manipulation. Japan's a big one. They do currency manipulation to keep their currencies low. Helps them with trade. Because their currency is different than US dollars and helps them with trade there. Surge called out MU yesterday. Micron. Oh, shit. Wow. Now that's a chart. This has got to be one of the worst ones I've looked at. Definitely one of the worst ones that I've looked at recently. Wow. MU selling down. AMD falling off like crazy. You're out of here, PC, Demir. Now at 4,000% if you held that. Wow. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? AMD down under the low of the day, continuing to sell down. I guess technically a little choppier, but I still say it's selling. AMD is at my cost average of 83. Never thought I'd see it this low again. Wow. That is kind of nuts to say after it was at 226 in 2024. Powell speaks in about 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour. Haha, Mason. Powell, Powell, Powell. The crowd goes wild. It's like when Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge comes up to bat. I was watching the Yankee games yesterday, and they were just chanting MVP every time he was up. Aw, man. Golden State lost to... Or they beat the Lakers, I mean. I'm like a Lakers fan this year now. Luka went 0 for 6 from 3. Oh. You were at the Yankees game, Dexter? Let's go. That sounds awesome. Hope you had a fun time. Not the fakers, Huncho said. The fakers? That's what you call the Lakers? It took me a second to figure out what you meant. LeBron is a flopper, I gotta say. If that's what you're getting at. LaFlop. Lay flop. Poor LeBron. I'm just kidding. He does flop pretty bad. Spy down to 517. I'm not a big LeBron fan. I'm just a Luka fan. I follow Luka. Yeah, you got to see a Judge blast there. And you got to see a pretty badass Chisholm blast later in the game. It was funny because Chisholm hit a blast foul, and then on the very next pitch, he hit one fair. It was like bam, bam. The YBP says LeGoat. Hey, there we go. Screw all that. Celtics going for a championship. I'll tell you what, Spy's going for a new low of the day. The selling just does not stop today. Nvidia is going to break under the low of the day here. It's like right at support. Yeah, Dexter, I was at the gym, and then I got done, and I got in the car, and I turned the game back on the radio, and they were like, it's 7-9, and I was like, what the? I was like, they really almost blew that. Oh, Perdomo did it. How's the fantasy? Let's see. I'm losing in one league. I'm losing in 2 of the leagues this week, but I'm winning in one of them. And the one I'm winning in, I'm winning by like a lot, so. I'm almost definitely not going to lose that week, but the other two are pretty close. I could come back and win, maybe. Praying that they do a bit better here. I need Walker Buehler and Gavin Williams to kill it today. Wow, the Cardinals game comes on at 1 p.m. Oh, day game. Okay. Sure, I guess. Walker Buehler needs to, like, no-hit the Cardinals. Tesla 1-minute chart selling down. Pretty rough way as well. Under the low of the day, 250 rejection. Keep watching for the puts. Be scalping them down here. Under 245 even. Tassie down at 244. Continuing the sell-off here. Nvidia down under the low of the day as well just now on this recent 1-minute candle. 95 has broken. It rejected at 100 earlier and said, see you later. Get nasty out there. If you guys are enjoying the stream, destroy that like button. Also, vote up in the poll. Don't forget, Jerome Powell will be speaking in about 1 hour. At 11:25 a.m. Eastern. Man, Nvidia, brutal. SPY's about to break the low. I'm not surprised. With the way the Mag 7 stocks are starting to run down, it makes sense that SPY'd be breaking down like this. Uh-oh. SHEL, bottom of the range bounce. Now that's a strange one. SHEL, look at it getting into support. You know what? We only have one future. That is a good question. They said fair to say the congested Mag 7 bubble is popping. I would say that's fair to say. Let's go look at Nvidia though. Let's look at some of these stocks. Let's see. It might be starting to pop. I would say that if we're going to get a real pop, Nvidia needs to kind of get down to like this range. Like, I would say the bubble's starting to really burst then. But it's starting to happen. So, at least as of the way it looks now. I would say that's a fairly fair assessment. A lot of people have said that we're in like an AI bubble. When was it gonna burst? Is this the burst? We'll see. Historians won't even call it an AI bubble bursting though. They're gonna call it Trump's tariff disaster or something. Jay Powell's speech happening today? Yeah, definitely. 11:25 a.m. We'll have it here live. If I can get it. Yep, I'll be on for the speech, Ivan. We'll have it right here. I do actually think Nvidia is oversold, K. I do think it's oversold in the short term, like on an intraday chart. I think it's getting to the point of becoming oversold. That doesn't mean it can't keep going, though. Very important to know. Do you think Powell will reverse the market or drop it lower? I'm guessing that Powell's going to probably try to come out and be a little bit optimistic. I think he'll try to get the market moving up a little bit, but at the end of the day, even if he tries to get the market moving up, that doesn't mean that it will. And again, he might just talk a lot more just about, hey, you know, we're going to assess what goes on and then react. I'm assuming that Powell's going to say, hey, they just did this. He's going to say, we have to wait to see what happens with inflation. We have to see what happens with jobs. We have to assess what goes on first before reacting. He's probably going to talk a lot about not reacting too quickly. I'm assuming that that's what he'll say. But even though he says that they are going to be careful not to react too quickly, they might end up assessing that, hey, maybe they need to. Who knows? Again, there's a hypothetical for almost every situation for what Powell could say. The poll has 63 votes. Everybody's picking closing lower than wherever the market is when Powell starts. Tesla's next support at 240 is going to be major. Oh yeah, pretty good stack. Look at it keep going. Beautiful. You're right, this is like the perfect song for what's going on. If SPY halts, what do you think will happen after the 15 minutes? That's a great question. If it halts, you're gonna see headlines all across the market. I would be pretty surprised to see it do this. Man, it's not that far off. If we get like a really good drop here from J-Pow, it's possible. Definitely plausible. Let me see this. I'm trying to find out some countries that are exempt from the new reciprocal tariffs. ChatGPT is so stupid. I said in Trump's second term, and it goes, if Trump wins his second term. What do you mean if he wins it? K-Swiss says, my first 1K day too. Very nice. Swiss and Kriz. Krizix Jr. Nice. Your Oxy downside play. Let's go. Oxy was fucking awesome. That was one of my favorite moves of the morning. I love that drop off today. Hell yeah, let's go. That was huge news yesterday with OPEC, by the way. Nobody's talking about that. OPEC Plus, this is huge. So this was the news from back in March, okay? I'm gonna give you the timeline. Oh, okay. On March 3rd, they came out and they began a long-delayed supply hike with tariffs, okay? Now we have another one where they came out now and they're accelerating the output hikes, and it made crude drop even more. Crude oil below support. I've been warning about this for a long time, since March 3rd. This is huge news, though, for oil. Definitely a big thing to look at for crude oil in the short term. Let's go see Zom's trend still. They're still above it, right? Yeah, pretty well. Tom, what's going on and what's going to happen Monday? Will this stop? No. I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think anything's going to happen Monday to get it to stop. If anything, we're probably going to see more big gap downs in the next week. Like SPY will probably gap down again or something wild. Looking at these gaps on the SPY, I'm trying to go back and find an area where we've had gaps this bad, because maybe like right here. In 2022, we had some bad gaps like this. From time to time on the downtrend. Let's go to the 2020 drop. This one's not quite that bad, but 2018 was pretty bad too. During these times, I noticed that the gaps don't seem as big. Like the gaps that we're actually seeing the past couple trading days look huge compared to those gaps on the previous charts. You know, like there's small gaps like this that I'm circling up at the top, but like, man, like these types of big gaps down like this don't happen very often. If Fed cuts rates, may spark a panic because they will be cutting not because they want to, but because they have to. That's a good point. That's a good point. Kevin said AZO puts. AutoZone. I could see it. That's a bit of a weird one, though. They're normally more consistent. I would rather you go for like a tech stock that's dropping or something, personally. What is the next support on AMD? Yeah, down to around 85. Let's go zoom out a little bit. You gotta go way back. Too far back with this one. It doesn't even fit on my screen. Oh, wow. Major support down here around 83 to 82. And then 80 below there. 82 to 83 and then 80 once you get under 85. '80's pretty big. Underneath there, man, this 74 to 75 level is crucial. I don't follow crypto, but if anyone here does, has it been following the market or acting independently? For the most part, it's been following the market. Like, note a lot of the bearishness the past few trading days. It's obviously not one for one. But you can tell it peaked out in like the end of January around the beginning of February. SPY peaked out right around the same time. So it looks pretty close. It has strong positive correlation to the SPY too. People have been treating Bitcoin, I would say, more like a tech stock. They treat it more like an Nvidia, in my opinion. Whereas I think traders should treat it more like a gold or like a silver, but they don't because they have too much hype with it. My first single golf tournament of the year, which is like a pretty competitive thing, is this Sunday, which is going to be fun. That's going to be great. This is pretty insane to say. It's gonna be 46 at that tournament. I'm gonna freeze. Good luck, says I've been caddying the past 2 summers. Really? That sounds like a really fun job. Following as well, let's go. SPY still dropping. 512 coming into play. 510 coming up after this. 510 will be a bit more of a major level in my eyes. It is good money? Awesome. For some reason, I thought it was bad money. That's cool to hear, though. I'm glad. Off the books. Yeah, I'm worried about that golf tournament this weekend, though. I'm probably not going to do too well. I'll let you guys know how I do. I'll post it up in the off-topic channel or discussion or something like that on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night. Sunday night, probably. I'm going to need to have, like, hand warmers and all types of stuff like that. Do you have a handicap? Yeah, I do. Mine right now, it was 9.9 to start the year, and now it's 10.7 because my first round I shot a 93, so that hurt it a little bit. About to break 510. Good time to buy. Watch 510 for a possible support bounce here, guys. This is one of the major levels that I have. $5.10's pretty big here. Let's go. Awesome profits by Demon Slayer in the chat. Awesome job, Demon Slayer, if you're hearing this. I always got to find the best baseball celebration here. That's a fire move, though. SPY bouncing really well off 510. My gosh, that was quick. Wow, what a good comeback. Really surprised Bitcoin has held 80K with all the big SPY drops. BTC USD, let's go. Bitcoin, I'm kind of surprised too, if I'm being honest. Looking at the daily, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty surprised too. My handicap is the stock market. I always think it's funny whenever they ask like somebody has something wrong with them and then they're like, hey, what's your handicap? You know, it's like, oh, so funny. Always gets me laughing my ass off there. Tesla selling down here, down to 238. Starting to bounce a little bit, though. I think we're starting to see a bit of an intraday bounce coming into play. This is a major, major support that we have here on the chart. Down at 510. SPY's pretty oversold on the day. We might just be seeing a bit more of a comeback here. It's almost 11 a.m. Eastern. The man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell will be out here in just a little while. If you guys are just now joining up, make sure that you check out the link that I am throwing in the chat right now for the trading floor. It's $100 off right now for the yearly. The big money code will probably end pretty soon, so definitely think about getting in while you can. Going to be crucial here. There's a lot of good volatility in the market. The time is now if you're looking at any time to join up. Appreciate everybody joining up this morning, though. Destroy that like if you're also here this morning. Wow, it's not every day that we get through that whole entire car music like that. All right, let's go next. SPY, 515, breaking back to the upside. Wow. Well, I love seeing these profits out there in the profits channel. If you guys are killing it today, post them up in the profits. You might just get member of the day on Sunday. There's some big boys out there right now. Watch SPY close in the green. If that happens, I'm gonna drop dead. We only have one future. That's pretty crazy. What time does Powell speak? In about 25 minutes, 11:25 a.m. Eastern Time. Pretty much exactly 25 minutes from now. Hey, appreciate it, Travis. 34 likes on the stream, 130 people watching. I know we could have more likes than this. Give me one sec, guys.
Can you get to my thoughts? Can you promise we won't let go? All the things that
Looking at some stocks on some dips here.
you need, you can make it feel.
Let's see if we can find some good ones.
'Cause you can't deny
How's Robinhood on the dip?
when I touch your body, I feel I'm losing control. 'Cause you can't deny
Wow, Robinhood.
you've blown my mind when I see
Micron really selling off. Gosh, that's terrible. Let's see, Shopify. How about Spotify?
you gonna stop breaking my heart. I don't wanna be another one. Praying for the things I never done.
QUBT.
Don't let go.
How about Oklo?
I have to see you cry, my love's dying inside. I have to see you cry, my love's dying inside. Can't focus on those lies, but baby when I run, I'm running to you. You won't see me cry, I'm hiding inside. My heart is in pain, but I'm smiling for you. Oh baby, I'll try to make this right. I need you more than there when I'm not with you. Please don't ask me why, just kiss me this time. My only dream is about you and I.
Sorry about that, guys. Had to help somebody out real quick.
Lover's got a quick hand,
Thank you, Ivan.
he'll look around.
Let's get JP out here, about 22 minutes away. The man, the myth, the legend. Gonna be fun. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna take a quick intermission. Gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Gonna grab a water, and I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Don't go anywhere. We'll have Powell live. I'll throw up the Mag 7 here. Be right back.
Daddy works a long day. He be coming home late, and he's coming home late, and he's bringing me a surprise. 'Cause dinner's in the kitchen and it's packed in nice. I've waited for a long time. Now this light in my hand is now a quick pull trigger. I reason in my cigarette and say your hair's on fire. You must have lost your wits, yeah. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, I'll run my gun. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, faster than my bullet. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, faster than my bullet. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, I'll run my gun. Don't stop, make it pop, DJ blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop. And no, oh, 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 oh. Don't stop, make it pop, DJ blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop. And no, oh, 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 oh. Don't stop, make it pop, DJ blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop. No, oh, 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 oh. You built with my hands up. Put your hands up, put your hands up. Don't stop, make it pop. DJ, blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop. No. Oh, 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 oh. Don't stop, make it pop. DJ, blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop. No. Oh, 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 oh. You build me up, you break me down. My heart it pounds, yeah, you got me. With my hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. You lift your ugly sweater so that I can forget you. I'm so fed up when you're around, round, round, round. And when I'm feeling better, you always find a way to get in my head and bring me down, down, down. I tried and tried and tried, but I can't let go. So come set me free. I'm down feeling blue. I'm falling apart. A faded love. I'm counting to 3. I hear the alarm. I'm falling apart. A faded love. So come set me free. I'm down feeling blue. I'm falling apart. A faded love. I'm counting to 3. I hear the alarm. I'm falling apart. A faded love.
All right, let's go. Sorry about that, guys. Had to check on my daughter and everything like that for Powell coming out here. The tariffs will affect Spotify in the green. Makes perfect sense. Oh, will affect them greatly. I see, JB. Spotify's one that I'm looking to buy the dip on as it dips. I like them for the long term. I love this one on the dip. I hope that they dip pretty hard, though, like down to like 400 or something. That would be pretty nice.
So come set me free. I'm down feeling blue. I'm falling apart. A faded love. I'm counting to 3. I hear the alarm. I'm falling apart. A faded love. So come set me free. I'm down feeling blue. I'm falling apart. A faded love. I'm counting to 3.
I should have bought puts this morning. I've been studying Tesla all week. Need to snipe entries better. Let's see. Studying Tesla all week. Need to snipe the entries. $240 is pretty good. It broke below there. As it ripped back, maybe like a nice pop back above there. Looking at the 1 minute here. We're still getting a good comeback. I'm not loving the Tesla setup as much as I like SPYs, though. I don't know what it is. Something about it. I don't love it as much how it's rejecting at this resistance. At this wick right here. Tesla's re-entering pre-market range. Toyota will cover U.S. suppliers' higher costs tied to Trump tariffs. Let's go. We own a Toyota. We have a Toyota RAV4. I like it quite a bit. Sienna forever? Toyota Sienna, no way. I was just looking at one of those the other day. I saw one on the road and I was like, what the hell is that? I looked it up and I was like, oh, I didn't even know they made a minivan. That had me laughing. I thought their minivan was called like a Highlander. I guess that's an SUV, but... They have this thing called a Grand Highlander Hybrid. It costs $60K. My God. You could buy a fucking Hellcat for that. A Hellcat SUV. That's nuts. Rich Chinese love. Don't have it in the US. Alfred's. I've never even heard of that. I'm a bit confused over Trump's manufacturing desire, Lefty said. Can you talk about it for a minute? Does he really want US workers to make towels and shoes and sweatshirts? It's not really that, Lefty. It's more of like... I think he's more worried about other, like, products. More than, like, shirts. Or something, right? Or, like, shoes. Like, I think he's more worried about, like, let's say chips. Phones, maybe. Computer parts. Car parts. Plastic molding stuff. You know? All that type of stuff. I don't know what they do exactly, you know, how they make plastics. You know, there's plastic molding, like, there's, like, die cast things. Like, I don't know how all this stuff works, but, I'm assuming, like, more of that type of stuff. Again, it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be that. It's tough to say. You know, it's hard to talk about without, like, sounding kind of dumb, because, like, there's so many hypotheticals to it that, like, every time you say something, you could come back with something else against it. You know, it's a very tough conversation there. Yeah. That is the goal, Lefty. The goal is ultimately to get more U.S. manufacturing and, like, more U.S. products being sold in the U.S. rather than all the importing. That is the goal. Again, there's questions, though, like you're asking, like, who's going to work in the factories and all this, and I don't know. Maybe a lot of these poor kids who are working at, like, supermarkets and gas stations not making anything can go get better jobs. Maybe that'll be a good thing. Maybe we'll see wages actually increase because people will go do better jobs finally, which will be nice. That would be one thing I'm thinking of, maybe. I see so many people making, like, barely anything. I don't even know how these people live. Honestly, I really don't. I don't know how people live in these, like, a lot of these workers. Like, these gas station employees and, like, shelf stockers and all that type of stuff. Don't even know how they make it. $440 resistance here on the QQQ. I get it for, like, kids, but, like, I see a lot of, like, people who need to be, like, probably in better jobs doing it. Yeah, I don't know, Ron. Maybe they'll... I know that there's a lot of people investing in the U.S., like making new factories and foundries, like Intel, for example. Like, Intel's a big one. Taiwan Semiconductors, huge ones. Like, they're making big investments in factories to, like, make chips and stuff like that here. So, you know, maybe there's factories being built. I know that, like, it's hard for, like, people to think about that, but, like, right now, there's probably a ton of factories being built from some of these investments, and maybe even some of the investments from Trump's old term. You know, I'm sure it takes like years and years of regulation to get a lot of this stuff through, and the building's actually built and going. It's a good question, though. There are specific ones. I just don't know exactly. Like, maybe let's just go to Google. Let's say, like, Intel. Let's say a new Intel factory in the U.S. Let's see. Intel delays Ohio chip plant opening to next decade. It was supposed to start production by 2026. Delayed the opening of their chip manufacturing facility, they said. Won't complete construction now till 2030. Oh, well, that sucks. Well, that sucks there. That's one of the ones I was thinking of, guys. Now that one's delayed. You can't fix greed with tariffs. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see how this plays out. Like, will we actually be, like, back up and the market's booming in a year or two? Or are we going to be down in the dumps? That's the question. If it's back up booming, I'm okay with the short-term downtrend. But if it takes, like, you know, like, let's say we go into something like 2000 or 2008. Let's go check this out. I know some of you guys know how this already played out, but let's go to the dot-com bubble into the mid-2000s, into the mid-2010s, I mean. What I'm worried about is that, like, we see a drop-off that gets so bad that, like, let's say it takes 12 years, 13 years to finally break out to a new high. That's my main concern, right? That's if we get into a really bad scenario. And if that's the case, Trump's gonna look like shit for the next 4 years, I'll tell you. It's gonna look terrible. I don't think he would let that happen. Then again, maybe he can't control it if it starts to spiral out of control. But, you know, of course, the Federal Reserve is gonna be trying to do what they can as well. But it's definitely some good conversations here. A lot of stuff to think about. Everybody thinks that they're right. That's one thing I gotta say out there. Everybody thinks that their opinion's the right one. And everybody has a different one. So that's kind of where I'm like, like, I don't want to get too, like, stuck on one side here of this tariff war. The market did pretty good last time under Trump, even though there were those tariff concerns for that year of 2018.
If I told you this was only gonna hurt, if I warned you that the fire's gonna burn, would you walk in? Would you let me do it first? Do it all in the name of love.
All right, guys, we're 5 minutes out from the man, the myth, the legend. Look at how it has a countdown here. That's sick. When did they add that in? I've never noticed that. That is sick. I love that. Oh, they don't have me a link? Here, I'll get a link. I'll get a link. Vimeo? Shit. Hopefully somebody else has one on YouTube. Oh, let's see here. Got a question here. Let's go, Travis. I got you in. Ripple effect, I meant to say. Sorry, I didn't mean to say your name. Let's go. There we go, Travis. I'm glad to see you got the emails and everything. That's good. That's good. That's good. Powell cuts rates, I am pretty sure we will see markets react negatively. Well, he's not cutting rates today, but I understand what you're saying. I just didn't want anyone confused. Doctor said Powell to cut rates too, yeah. Hasn't started yet, but 3 minutes out. You should see it start in a sec. I guess I'll change the name of the stream real quick. All right, JP, let's go. Here we go. Let's even get it up here like this. Picture in picture. No way. I don't think Powell's going to say or indicate anything. Not today. Ooh. Trump came out today. There's a new headline out here. CNBC. Manny put it in the discussion. Nike shares rise. Vietnam's negotiating a deal. Uh-oh. Where is Powell here? I'm going to pull up both. We're going to get both going. Hell, let's get 3 going. Why not? Anything here? Anything scheduled? Let's see. Nope. Not a lot. Here we go. We'll do this one too. Perfect. Whichever one starts first, we're going to go with. Purple tie's usually good. Man, Nike's up 4% now on that Vietnam news. Trump says Powell needs to cut rates and to stop playing politics. That's funny. Trump said Powell is always late, but he could now change his image and quickly. Trump said in a post, energy prices are down, interest rates are down, inflation is down, even eggs are down 69%, and jobs are up. All within 2 months, a big win for America. Cut interest rates, Jerome, and stop playing politics. Uh-oh, JP's not starting on time. Wow, that's some pretty big statements there. Let me go find the truth post. I want to read the whole thing. Oh, that was the whole thing. Gotcha. Trump had a good conversation with the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. That's what's getting Nike going there. Pretty good intraday action there, though. JP passed out in the back. Yeah, Trump called it that he's late. That's funny.
We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? We don't talk anymore like we used to do.
Oh, here we go.
I just heard you found the one you've been looking for. I wish I would have known there wasn't me.
Questions to ask, and before answering a few of those, I'll briefly summarize the outlook
I can't hear it.
for the economy and monetary policy. At the Fed, we are squarely focused on achieving the dual mandate goals that Congress has given us of maximum employment and stable
I'll
prices.
turn it up for you guys.
While uncertainty is high and downside risks have risen, the economy is still in a good place. The incoming data show solid growth, a labor market in balance, and inflation running much closer to, but still above, our 2% objective. After a couple of years of solid growth, many forecasters have anticipated somewhat slower growth this year. The initial reading for first quarter GDP will be released later this month. The limited hard data are consistent, though, with the slower but still solid growth outlook. At the same time, surveys of households and businesses report dimming expectations and higher uncertainty about the outlook. Survey respondents point to the effects of the new federal policies, especially related to trade. We are closely watching this tension between the hard and the soft data. As the new policies and their likely economic effects become clearer, we will have a better sense of their implications for the economy and for monetary policy. Looking across many indicators, the labor market appears to be broadly in balance and not a significant source of inflationary pressure. This morning's jobs report showed the unemployment rate at 4.2% in March, still in the low range where it has held since early last year. Over the first quarter, payrolls grew by an average of 150,000 jobs per month. The combination of low layoffs, moderating job growth, and slowing labor force growth has kept the unemployment rate broadly stable. Turning to the other leg of our dual mandate, inflation has declined sharply from its pandemic highs of mid-2022. It has done so without the kind of painful rise in unemployment that has often accompanied periods of tight monetary policy that are needed to reduce inflation. More recently, progress toward our 2% inflation objective has slowed. Total PCE prices rose 2.5% over the 12 months ending in February. Core PCE prices, which exclude the volatile food and energy categories, rose 2.8%. Looking ahead, higher tariffs will be working their way through our economy and are likely to raise inflation in coming quarters. Reflecting this, both survey and market-based measures of near-term inflation expectations have moved up. By most measures, longer-term inflation expectations, those beyond just the next few years, remain well anchored and consistent with our 2% inflation goal. We remain committed to returning inflation sustainably to our 2% objective. Turning to monetary policy, we face a highly uncertain outlook with elevated risks of both higher unemployment and higher inflation. The new administration is in the process of implementing substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. Our monetary policy stance is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties we face as we gain a better understanding of the policy changes and their likely effects on the economy. It is not our role to comment on those policies. Rather, we make an assessment of their likely effects, observe the behavior of the economy, and set monetary policy in a way that best achieves our dual mandate goals. We have stressed that it will be very difficult to assess the likely economic effects of higher tariffs until there is greater certainty about the details, such as what will be tariffed, at what level, and for what duration, and the extent of any retaliation from our trading partners. While uncertainty remains elevated, it is now becoming clear that tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. And the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. The size and duration of these effects remains uncertain. While tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation, it's also possible that the effects could be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome would depend on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored, on the size of the effects, and on how long it takes for them to pass through fully to prices. Our obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored, and to make certain that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. We'll continue to carefully monitor the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We're well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. It is too soon to say what will be the appropriate path for monetary policy. We understand the benefits of a solid economy where workers can find jobs and inflation is low and predictable. We also understand that elevated levels of unemployment or inflation can be damaging and painful for communities, families, and businesses. That is why we at the Fed will continue to do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Hey, here we go. Let's go, JP. Pretty awesome. Not much movement, though.
This feels like quite a moment to be speaking with you, and I want to thank you for your time. He's got it. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time to speak with this group of business journalists. Also like to give a special thanks to Heather Long with the Washington Post, who helped make this event possible. So for starters, sir, how's your week been?
Just fine, thank you.
Care to elaborate?
So far, so good.
Chair Powell, yes, thank you so much for being here and taking our questions. You were talking about the economy as being a very strong economy. You characterized inflation as coming down, employment as being very strong still. However, President Trump earlier this week, when asked about the market volatility we've been seeing, said the volatility was, quote, to be expected. This is a patient that was very sick. We inherited a terrible economy. A lot of voters did and do agree with that assessment, or at least in part. I'm wondering how you would respond to that assessment and the disconnect between the story of the data and the way a lot of people are feeling about the economy.
Sure. So let me just be clear at the start. I make it a practice not to respond to any elected officials' comments, so I don't want to be seen to be doing that. It's just not appropriate for me. But the situation, I think, is this, and people, when they're surveyed, they are unhappy about the economy. That seems to largely reflect the increase in the price level that happened when inflation was high, 2021, 22, and 23 largely. Inflation is now back down to much more normal levels. Unemployment is low. The economy has been growing, but people are still experiencing that high price level. In other words, prices don't go down. They know they're paying much more for the basic necessities of life, and they're right that they are, and they're not happy about it, and they're right not to be happy about it. So I think that accounts for the negative sentiment. Of course, we're looking at inflation, which is the change in prices, and we're seeing that has come down quite a bit, and that unemployment is actually low. It's sort of very close to measures of maximum employment, and the economy's growing. So all those statistics are good, but the price increases of the past few years are weighing on people's budgets.
So I'm from Milwaukee, and I've been talking to business leaders, executives, and consumers in our community, our region, for the last few weeks, mostly before this week's news. Chairman, they're troubled and they're nervous. One business owner told me, if there's a hint of a recession, we're cooked. And he asked me to share that with you. What's your response?
So I guess I would say, let's start with the fact that the incoming data right through this morning's employment report, which admittedly is from roughly a month ago, the week of March 12, they took the data in. It still shows us a solid economy. Unemployment's still low. I understand the uncertainty that's weighing on people. You ask about a recession. We don't make a probability forecast of how likely it is for there to be a recession, but many outside forecasters do, and many of them have raised the likelihood, albeit from very low levels. It's not something that anybody now is forecasting, or some people are starting to. And so there's not much more I can say about that. I realize that the uncertainty is high, and what we've learned is that the tariffs are higher than anticipated, higher than almost all forecasters predicted. We still don't know where that comes to rest, though, and we're just going to have to see that through.
congressional hearing last year, one of the U.S. representatives said that you were pretty boring, and you thanked him and said that you considered that a very high compliment. And in fact, I feel like it's one of the roles of the Federal Reserve, especially since the housing crisis, to be kind of a ballast, especially in the face of the volatility of the markets and the dramatics that we can experience with the economy. Very steady, no surprises, very reliable. In a moment like this, which also has a lot of drama and unpredictability, but it is not necessarily from an economic crisis, it's by design, it's political. How do you see your role in this moment?
So I think all of the values that you touched on are in fact the values that we try to live by. You know, we're driven by, you know, analysis and careful thought and discussion and debate and the merits of things. We try to stay as far as we can from the political process. We don't look at political cycles or things like that. So, and I think people expect that from us. They expect us to tell the truth, and that's what we're going to do. But at the same time, we don't want to be part of the broader political discussion about the wisdom of policies that are not assigned to us. We're not responsible for trade policy, immigration policy, fiscal policy. So we don't comment on those. Decisions are made by others, and what we do is we use our tools to try to achieve the goals that Congress assigned us, which is maximum employment and price stability. So I like to think that over time we're a source of calm, rational analysis and also of stability. That's really what the business that we're in is, providing financial and macroeconomic stability to the public. That's really our purpose.
So how can businesses and individuals and the Fed make plans for the future when so much is being dictated by the actions of a single person? And do you see yourself as the consoler-in-chief on economic matters?
No, I think, take a step back. What's happening is, as I mentioned, the new administration is making, you know, significant policy changes in trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. And you're still just a couple of months into the administration, and that process will take place. And at a certain point, the new policies will be on the table. They will be having the effects they're going to have on the economy, and uncertainty will decline. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about where all that's going to sort out, the forms it will take, and what the economic effects will be. If you fast forward a year from now, the uncertainty should be much lower. The actual effects of the policies should then be pretty manifest and clear. So I think I understand why it just is highly uncertain, both what the policies will turn out to be, exactly what they'll turn out to be, and also what their effects will be in the near term. We just have to go through that process, and it is just kind of a manifestation of our election cycle and a new administration coming in with new policies.
I mean, given all of the change happening and the fact that we are in a period where things have not settled in yet, and that the Federal Reserve and you as chair are very projection, data-driven, policy-driven, how do you handle a moment like now? I mean, can you tweak your plans and projections? Do you just do you have to reset them?
So, what we've had since in the last few months is, from the staff, has been a placeholder. Rather, they wouldn't call it a forecast because it's so uncertain. They call it a placeholder. And that's kind of how we've been thinking about it. So it's a good time to take a step back and let things clarify. That's why it's just too soon to say what the appropriate monetary policy response will be to these new policies. It is just too soon to say. We can't say with any confidence today. So that's what we're doing. We've taken a step back, and we're watching to see what the policies turn out to be and the ways in which they will affect the economy, and then we'll be able to act. Fortunately, our policy stance is in a good place for us to do that. We're probably moderately restrictive, let's say, so it's not really tight policy, but it's which is appropriate since inflation is a bit above target. So we think we're well positioned to address whatever may come. And in the meantime, I'd say we're waiting for greater clarity before we consider adjustments.
Business owners in Wisconsin have told me that they can't make their plans. They want to expand. They want to build a new facility. They want to hire or do whatever the future calls for. They say, we're trying to look around the corner. We're not even sure where the corner is, and we're not even sure what's around the corner. Sounds like they're in the same position as you are a little bit.
No, we hear the same thing. Of course, we have an incredible network of contacts with businesses and also universities, nonprofits, all different sectors, through the reserve banks and also through the Board of Governors. And that's what we hear. But again, it's a process. We're going through it, and I think we will know when we know what the policies are exactly and what their implications will be for the economy. That will all become clear, and I think that'll be a time when people can make decisions. In the meantime, though, I get it. We're hearing that a lot from people, and we are kind of in the same place, which is waiting for clarity about what our policy path should be.
It might be months away.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
As you're talking about placeholders right now and having something in the place when there's so much that we don't know, it does occur to me that this is not the first economic shock that you have steered the markets and the economy through. Obviously, there was COVID almost exactly 5 years ago. It seems similar in certain ways with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of shock, also potential disruptions to prices and to supply, which is very much in the Federal Reserve's wheelhouse. I mean, from where you sit, can Liberation Day be compared to kind of the economic effects of COVID? Are they totally different, somewhat related?
I think each situation is different. There was COVID. There was also then, in the response to COVID, then there was high inflation, and then there was soft landing, and now we have new administration and changes in policies. And every situation, it kind of rhymes, but it's not exactly the same thing. And so in this situation, what we face is what I mentioned in my remarks is you actually have risks for higher unemployment and higher inflation, and that's difficult for a central bank because our tools, which consist of interest rates, either slow down or speed up the economy over time. And higher unemployment would call for speeding up the economy, and higher inflation would call for slowing it down. So you can be in a situation, if we find ourselves in that situation, we look at how far each of the two variables is from its goal, and we ask ourselves, how long would it take to get back? And we weigh those things and make a decision about what to do. But there's no question that's a different situation, very difficult situation. When we faced high inflation, it was painful for the country, painful for the people that we serve, but we knew what policy needed to be. We knew we needed to raise rates quite a bit. During the pandemic, we knew what we needed to do. It was very clear the direction that we needed to take with force, and we did.
It's almost a situation potentially where the dual mandate is at odds with itself.
The two goals are, as we say, in tension, or they may be. I'd say that's not what we're seeing right now, but it's the effects at the margin right now would be for higher inflation and perhaps higher unemployment, but that's a marginal effect. I would say you're not in a situation like we were in the 1970s where the two goals were really both pulling in opposite directions and required. It's just very hard for a central bank to be the answer to a situation like that. But that's not the situation we're really in today.
One of the questions from the audience that we had is, if unemployment takes off and inflation takes off, which lever do you go for? Which lever what do you do?
So we actually have we have a document called our consensus statement, or the longer version is Statement on Longer Run Goals and Monetary Policy Strategy. And the 6th paragraph of that actually contemplates when the two goals are in tension. And what it says is, think about how far each variable is from its goal, and think about how long it would take for each to get back. So in a way, it's an equation. You're comparing two quantities, which each have two variables. And then you say, you look at that and you think, what do we need to do? And typically this doesn't happen very often, but if one of them is further away, then you would focus on that one. In the case of high inflation, they actually both pointed in the same direction. The labor market was overheated and inflation was very high. So both of those called for tight monetary policy. This could be different, but again, we're not actually facing that today.
I feel like there's another tension inherent in your job, which is that you're looking at the macro economy, at the global economy really, and the US places in it, but also the data you're looking at is very profoundly human, as Jim has been pointing out. Jobs, I think, and prices are probably the two most human pieces of data, and certainly in our day-to-day experience, probably the things that loom the largest. How do you reconcile those two things when you're looking at the data, like both the global markets and knowing that the data represents a lot of lives and jobs and egg prices and things like that?
So I think at the Fed, we always keep a focus on the people that we serve, and we know and are very conscious daily that the things that we do have a real effect on people's lives. We know that, and it really does focus the mind. And I think if you talk to people at the Fed, there's a very strong commitment to serving the public as well as we possibly can. Economic events are just very, very unpredictable at times, and there are shocks that you can't see coming. But nonetheless, our job is to, whatever happens, use our tools to bring the economy back to stability, back to price stability, back to maximum employment. And that's what we do. But you're right. We try to keep everybody in the room with us when we're thinking about what to do.
So in response to the last round of tariffs, Harley-Davidson, which is based in Milwaukee, moved some production to Thailand. Now the company might be whipsawed again by the new tariffs. It could be really devastating for sales, for employment, for the future of that company. But a lot of companies are in that same position. And what do you say to companies like Harley-Davidson and their workers?
So it just isn't, I really want to stick to our knitting. I mean, we have this great thing called our independence of monetary policy, and that's critical for us to be able to do our job. But for us to keep that independence, we need to not succumb to the temptation to want to be a player on issues that are not assigned to us. And trade policy is one of those. There are many, many issues that people love to try to pull us in on, almost every issue really. And we just need to stick to our knitting, not get pulled into those things. And so trade policy is a classic one. Energy policy is another. Climate change, immigration is not really, although all of those things have economic implications, and it gets argued that way. But if we treated those as our job, the case for our independence would disappear. So I really can't comment on, we hear the same stories like that, but honestly, the policymakers who are charged with that, they're probably hearing the same stories too, and they're reaching a judgment about what's in the best interest of the country in the long run. That's what they are doing, I guess, and that's, so it's not for us to comment on that.
What happens inside the Fed at a moment like right now, when there's so much change and quite a bit of uncertainty, when you're watching things unfold? What does that look like, practically speaking? What are people doing inside the building?
So I'm very proud to work with the people I work with. I can tell you that in times like this, or times like the pandemic, where the global financial markets were shutting down, the global economy was shutting down, people step forward and they say, "We've got this." These are career people who were here for the global financial crisis. They've got 25 years, 35 years of experience with crises, and they step forward and it's just incredible what they can do and how good they are. It's a great honor to work with them. So right now isn't that situation. We have the situation we have, so our trade people and our inflation people and our macroeconomists are all working hard to kind of digest the news of this week and try to filter that into the forecast that they'll make. And policymakers are doing very much the same thing, and we're reading everything we can about what's happening and lots of outside analysis too. We don't have an FOMC meeting until May 6 and 7, so that's really a process that lasts several weeks, and we're not quite at that stage yet. But we're kind of thinking ahead to that and working through all of that. I will say though, it feels like we don't need to be in a hurry. It feels like we have time
Really?
to. Yes, it feels like we don't. No, it's like I said, you have inflation is going to be moving up and growth is going to be slowing, but it isn't really, to me, it's not clear at this time what the appropriate path for monetary policy will be. And we're going to need to wait and see how this plays out before we can start to make those adjustments.
Question from the audience. One of our SEBU members is, are you in contact with other central bankers in other countries at a time like this?
Yes, pretty frequently. Absolutely, I am. And the same was true during the other crises I've been through. Not only that, though, we do meet very regularly. the IMF World Bank meetings here in Washington twice a year. We go to Basel multiple times a year to meet. That's all central bankers. And there are also G20 meetings, G7 meetings where the central bankers are there. So we're kind of regularly meeting and talking. And when we're not doing that, we're also texting each other. And
Is there a group chat?
I'm not at liberty to say. No, there's not.
And have you talked to those central bankers this week?
Recently, yeah, I didn't want to get too specific about this, but yes, I have.
What's their sentiment? Can you characterize that?
I'd rather, again, I don't comment on what my international colleagues say, or it's not appropriate. But we're talking about events. We're talking about the implications for the economy. We're discussing what we're hearing from markets and from business people and for from the elected governments too. It's all the things you would expect us to be talking about on a regular basis. It's one of the best things about this role is that the central banks have a lot. We're all non-political, so we think about things in quite similar ways, and they're real bonds. We're not lobbying each other ever on policy. It's just never. That's just not a thing, because we do our policy here, they do their policy there, but we develop really good relationships and bonds with them, and it's one of the real pleasures and benefits being able to talk about this, just not only with the great people at the Fed, but also with the leaders around the world.
I mean, it's interesting because it is a job of enormous responsibility and power, but it's also a job. How would you characterize the job of Fed chair? Like, how is it as a job?
Honestly, that's what it is. I really feel just like another person doing that job.
Really?
Yeah.
You just like...
That's how it is. I'm doing a job. I have a job to do. I actually really like the job. I like it a lot. I enjoy it. It can be stressful at times. Nonetheless, incredibly interesting, great people to work with, really important. What more could you want? But that's what it is. And I'm blessed by working with great colleagues who are really committed to getting it right. I mean, fully appreciate how important it is that we get it right, and do everything we possibly can to bring the best thinking, the best analysis, and debate things, over and over until we feel like we're in the right place. At the same time, there is no certainty in this. You can be wrong because the economy can zig when you thought it was going to zag.
So your term as Fed chair ends about a year from now. What do you think about your job security?
I fully intend to serve all of my term.
Excellent. I mean, as we're getting close to wrapping up, I did want to ask something a little bit out of the box. I think because you do have a position of such great responsibility, people are very curious about you, and I think people tend to read into everything a Fed chair does, small gestures, word choice. I know it's part of our jobs in this room to pore over every word you choose. I did want to ask about one thing that I've wondered about for years, which is your tie. You always seem to wear a purple tie, and every time I think I've seen you, you've worn a purple tie, and I'm wondering if there's significance to that?
Well, at the beginning, the only significance was that I like purple ties.
Okay.
But I will say, so then the next press conference, I reach for a blue tie or a red tie, and I go, maybe not, And so I wind up wearing purple ties. And then it becomes a thing, and now I definitely wear purple ties all the time.
Okay.
But I felt like, it just felt a little awkward to be wearing one that was identified. We are strictly non-political. I can't stress that enough. We are not, it's not that we're bipartisan. We are non-political. We don't do that. And so purple was a good color for that. That's all. Plus, I like purple ties.
Sorry, I didn't give you a purple guitar pick. I have one other Milwaukee question that I overlooked here, but in Milwaukee and other parts of the country, the housing market is out of whack. In our market alone in southeastern Wisconsin, there's 5,000, the market's out of whack by like 5,000 houses that need to be on the market for it to have equilibrium. And a report this week said tariffs could tack on some $6,000 to the cost of building a new home. How long are people going to sit on their cheap mortgages from COVID? Thank you very much. And before they move on? before the market frees up?
So you have several things there. The first is we just haven't built enough housing, and we haven't kept up with the demand for housing. So there's an underlying shortage. Before the pandemic, there was a real housing shortage. And by the way, that's happening in many comparable democracies around the world. The second thing is, lock-in, as you say. There were very, very low mortgage rates during COVID, and people are kind of locked in. It would be very expensive to move, and that'll of course wear off over time. And you also mentioned, the costs of materials that might be imported, lumber and nails and things like that. And yeah, and also labor, a lot of labor from in the home building business has been traditionally immigrant labor. So yeah, the sort of new build market, it may face some cost pressures as well. That may very well be the case. That's what we're hearing from home builders, for example, both on the labor side and on the materials side. But even once these short-term things happen, we're still going to have not enough houses. And so it's all, I think for a long time, we're still going to see upward pressure on housing prices, maybe until population growth slows or until we catch up.
You mentioned that we're kind of in a period of waiting right now to see how policy ripples out through the economy. How long do you expect that to take? How long do you expect these big policy changes to show up in our day-to-day lives, in prices and supplies and things like that?
I mean, for a while, we didn't know what was coming on April 2. Now we know what came on April 2. We don't know. There's a lot more to be said about how all that shakes out. But we've come through that, and I think you now know that the tariffs are larger than people were generally expecting. That much now at this point. And you'll know more as you start to see the effects on the economy. So as the months go by, it's hard to say exactly when you'll know. But clearly that learning process is ongoing. We're just seeing that these are new policies, not just the tariff policies, but the other ones as well. There'll be important fiscal legislation coming up fairly soon, and there'll be regulatory changes, significant regulatory changes. You have to really look at all of that to see what the overall effect will be. So I can't give you a date, but all of that is now kind of coming into place at sort of the speed you would expect policy changes to be, and then we'll begin to see the real economic effects as the year goes on. But again, I can't give you a really specific date. Is
the fiscal legislation the tax cuts?
Well, yes. I mean, I know they're contemplating, and again, we don't comment on fiscal policy, but what I read is that they're contemplating, making the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act cuts permanent, and also perhaps some other things as well. We wouldn't be. We have a sort of a placeholder for that too, but that's really not ours to comment on. But that's what I was talking about. Yes.
So I have a question from a friend in Milwaukee who said she has clients that have deals ready to go, businesses that are ready to launch from their garage to a private equity deal, and they're just stuck in their garage right now. How long do you think, what do you think the impact of the uncertainty these days will have on the private equity deals?
So again, we're hearing a lot of that. People they're just kind of waiting waiting for clarity. So, and I can't tell you when that will pass, but ultimately it will pass. We know that at a certain point we'll know enough to know what the uncertainty will decline, and we'll be able to see with real clarity what the policies are and what their effects are. So, you're right. We hear the same thing from businesses and from people that they're kind of waiting and seeing. There's a lot of waiting and seeing going on, including by us, and that just seems like the right thing to do at a time of elevated uncertainty.
What economic indicators are you watching right now? I mean, very famously, you look at the CPE and obviously the CPI and things like that. But are there any economic indicators in this moment, in these circumstances, that you are watching, focused on,
Sure.
interested in?
So the basic two big data pools are the data around prices and around employment. And we get in the employment area, we get just really that's an area where we actually get pretty good data. Although the survey response rates have been lower, nonetheless, we get a lot of different data. And it's not just unemployment, it's participation, it's by age group and things like that. It's wages, it's many, many different things. It's jobs, it's quits, all the job creation, quits, openings, all those things. So that's one thing. On inflation, we target PCE, personal consumption expenditure inflation, not CPI, and the two are broadly, they move they move together, but 25 years ago, the Fed switched to PCE. The public looks at CPI. It's kind of a little bit of a thing, but because we think, it's really just a better way to capture the inflation, the cost pressures that households and businesses feel. We think it's a better measure, and that's what we look at. But they're not that different. I mean, they look at different measures. Ultimately, they're pretty close together. Those things. On growth, you look at what's happening with consumer spending. The economy is overwhelmingly driven by consumer spending. So you look at how are consumer surveys, how are they feeling, how are they spending? Sometimes the surveys are very negative, but they keep spending. That's been happening really for a while. People spent right through the pandemic, and they spent right through this time of higher inflation. They kept spending, and forecasters kept thinking, like us, kept thinking that consumption would slow down. But that's a really critical thing. After that, business investment is a big chunk, and you look at that, and that is also susceptible to sentiment. Businesses, if they don't know what to do, they're not going to do an acquisition. They're going to hold off on building a factory or a plant or hiring people and things like that. So we look at, I could go on for a long time. We look at a lot of data, and we try to make sense. We also talk to people who are in the real economy. I grew, my career was mostly in the private sector, talking to people who ran businesses. And for me, the story doesn't come together until I actually hear from people who are in the economy doing things and what they're feeling and seeing, and then it sort of fits together better.
Is this like via the Beige Book, or just
the Beige Book? Thank you for mentioning the Beige Book, and I hope you read it.
I love the Beige Book.
See, that's great. Everyone should read the Beige Book. The Beige Book comes out sort of mid-FOMC cycle, and it's all the 12 reserve banks and all of their incredible context, what they're saying about what's going on in the economy. So if you want to know, you can look at the national data, but if you want to know what's going on in regions and at different industries, you look at the Beige Book. So it's really a critical thing. And actually, the reserve bank system that we have is an enormous strength of the Federal Reserve System. We have these 12 reserve banks with their own, economics departments and own participants on the FOMC. So that's a great thing to look at.
I'd like to ask you about another body of work that many of us know that you're familiar with, and that's the Grateful Dead. So, question for you, sir. American Beauty or Terrapin Station?
American Beauty.
Well, it's not even a
Not even
pause.
close.
That
Ask
was
me a
so
hard one.
fast.
Working
No,
Man's
that's my era. That's my era.
Working Man's Dead
Yes.
or Europe 72?
Oh, both. Yeah,
come
that's
on.
my era. We're in the same era here. So that's for me. It's late '60s to mid '70s. So
Touch of Grey, what do you think?
It was their only hit, but it's a good song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally,
Are we going to do this?
I feel like you're speaking another language.
there's a well-known Grateful Dead bootlegger who, with I believe the permission of the band, Dick's Picks, who's put
Yeah.
out. So what's your recommendation of those hundreds of
I
Dick's Picks?
don't have any Dick's Picks. Like I said,
Come
my
on.
real interest was late '60s to mid '70s.
Yeah.
And I saw them a bunch of times, and I know every note on every song from that era. But since then, I've been busy, actually.
Well, we thank you for taking taking time out of your schedule to join us here, and we appreciate your work.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jim.
All right. What an event there by JP.
We are now adjourned until
The man, the myth, the legend. You gotta
2
love him,
o'clock,
right?
I believe.
I'm hearing myself come through the phone. Hope we're all having a good one, though. The market didn't really do squat with JP, did it? Didn't do squat. Oh my God. I was sitting there like, what kind of picks were they talking about? My God, did I just hear JP say that? I don't know what he really said or meant to say, but my God. I was like, what in the hell? All right, let me turn back down this boosted audio. I had J Powell's audio boosted by like 10 decibels. They had that so quiet. I don't know how You could have it that quiet. That's pretty insane. Got my daughter in here watching us, this time during JP. She was even learning some about the economy. I hope she didn't pay attention to that last part, though. If I'm being honest. That was wild. All right, SPY, though, in between 518 and 515 right now. There's a bit of a range. I really like this range because it could give us a good opportunity to play the break. You could play the break up out of the range. You could play the break down below the range. Or you could keep trying to play the range. Maybe short it at the resistance. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely going to be watching breaks on either direction here on the SPY as we go forward. Thank you all for joining up. Definitely destroy that like button. Also subscribe if you are new to the channel. This is separate from our nightly channel, so hit that subscribe button and also check out the main StockedUp channel if you haven't yet. We are currently running a good deal on the trading floor. If you're interested in joining up and getting some options and everything like that, some day trades from the Surge bot. We also have a lot of new updates in the works. Getting very, very close to releasing, but check it out. Use code BIGMONEY at checkout for $100 off. But back to the market. I know GameStop has been a stock that I keep seeing mentioned in the chat. GameStop's starting to pop back off a little bit. Up to $20.50, moving up to $22.60. My daughter's laughing at me talking right here. Can you guys hear that? She's laughing at me. That's funny. You think this is funny? Yeah, she does. You like Tesla, I guess, huh? She likes Tesla in the red, down 9%. That's funny. Tesla here, $250 coming into play. Definitely a big level. Looks more bearish than bullish. I'm definitely leaning more down. Of course, be reactive to momentum, but I'm leaning down. Can we have a book map on NVIDIA? Sure, I'll do that. NVIDIA, here we go, 92. This is what we're looking at in the moment here. Excuse me. If SPY breaks, what levels do you watch for next? Let's go back. SPY channel. If it breaks out to the upside, watch for 520 and then 522 first. But it would be better to just see like a good recovery all the way to like 524 at that point. If it ends up breaking down, I'll be watching 512 and then 510. I don't know why I didn't mark 512 on here. Yeah, I'll be watching 512 as well. She'll have a great port. I want to do something soon now she's walking. I can almost have her actually like pick out some stocks now, which will be funny. She's loving this. I don't know why. She thinks it's hilarious me talking right now. Is Netflix a put? What are the levels? I think Netflix is definitely more bearish than bullish. But let's look at it on a 1 minute because I haven't looked at it since earlier. There's a base kind of trying to form here, but I can see it actually breaking down and running lower. That's a pretty big level here on Netflix, though. A lot of reaction at this resistance. Like right around like 873. I'm definitely leaning more down. Honestly, like, if you're leaning down right now and it turns over, ideally, it like breaks the low of the day, even. Ideally. Might be tough. It is on, that is a pretty big resistance there at 860. A big level. This is a tough trade for me. It's right at resistance. This is a tough one. I'm not even sure I want to, like, touch it yet. Maybe once the break starts happening, you could catch a quick scalp down. That's probably the way to go right now with all this momentum. It's hard to front run it at this big support. But with all the selling lately, I could see it being something people do. Tesla looks pretty rough as it rejected at 250. Definitely got a nice late stream going with JP today. What do you think about Mara? Push back to the upside. Let's see. Mara looking pretty good right now, actually. A lot more momentum than I've seen out of almost any other stock at the moment. Really good Momo, Mara. You know, this one looks pretty good for a possible continuation. Right now, there's a good support going to be at 1050. If you see like a retest of 1050, could maybe be another good entry point if you want to wait for a bit of like support bounce, but looks pretty decent actually. I'm surprised. I'm surprised to see it recovering up. Riot. Bitcoin is trying to move. It's not up a lot right now, but you can tell over the past few minutes it's slowly been chopping back up. A trading sweatshop? How'd you know? I'll move to China. Oh, no, never mind, because then I'll get tariff. Never mind. What do you think about Bitcoin holding its levels pretty well for the past week while SPY's dumping? I thought it was a pretty good sign for Bitcoin to see it holding, but I just don't love the overall structure here. Like, off of this wick, I'm definitely thinking that Bitcoin can turn over harder here. And it's definitely something that I'm worried about. I'm praying that that's not the case, but...
Robert's got a quick hand. He'll look around the room, he won't tell you his plan. He's got a rolled cigarette hanging out his mouth, he's that cowboy kid, yeah. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, I'll run, knock on. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run.
Traders want a head and shoulders form in their life? What? I'm lost there. Only thing I feel like for sure is we don't see a big recovery for the rest of the day. I think we stay down the rest of the day. I could see that. I could see that. SPY's on crucial support here. If we see support give out around 514, I'm definitely going to be watching it lower. Look for a scalp opportunity. Maybe like UVXY to the upside, or maybe like SPXS to the downside or something like that. Or sorry, SPXS up as well. It inverses SPY. But I'm pretty much saying SPY to the downside. Matthew says, I feel like I'm missing a skill without knowing crypto. I really don't think it's that vital, Matthew. It's still just trading. You know, at the end of the day, there's still supply and demand. There's still trading. Obviously, there's like more intricacies in how it works, but in, I would say, like most people's experience, it's very close to the same. You know, you got your long-term investors, you got your day traders, you got like algos and bots probably trading the damn thing. It's I kind of just treat it like another stock, if I'm being honest with you. I just kind of act like it's Nvidia. It just has its own stuff about it, you know? Some people like to say that they act like it's like a commodity, like gold. That makes sense too. You know, it's almost like gold or oil or silver or something. Like, obviously you can't deliver it physically really, but you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like its own class and has its own parameters and, you know, weird things about it. So I'm not getting too deep into it because I'm not like a crypto expert myself. So maybe I'm biased towards not really too much. But I think the best thing with it is to like buy the dips and just buy in low and dollar cost average in. And man, I've seen some crazy stuff with Bitcoin.
You build me up, you break me down. My heart it pounds, yeah, you got me. With my hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. Don't stop, make it pop, DJ blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight. Tick tock on the clock, but the party don't stop, no.
Read the Bitcoin Standard. That sounds pretty good. Nami. Yeah, for sure, Matthew. It definitely doesn't hurt. I like the SPY breakdown starting, though. It looks pretty hot. Watch for 512 and then 510 for a potential breakdown. Nvidia and Tesla pulling back a little more. Mag 7. Look at all the pullbacks. Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, Google, Nvidia, Apple, Meta, all pulling back at once, driving the SPY down. At least a little bit there. See if this continues. I don't like how Amazon's breaking that like little support there intraday. Apple's getting pretty low under that 194 support as well. There goes SPY. 512.75. A lot of bearishness hitting. Watch that UVXY. Watch SPXS. All right. Go back to Nvidia. Pulling back, breaking down a bit. Testing 94, actually. It's a pretty good support from today. It's testing it. I'm definitely looking for more of a breakdown there. But I think we're going to go ahead and call the stream here, guys. We're getting some really bad storms at my house. Hopefully everything's all good with the stream. But have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining up today. If you're new, definitely destroy that subscribe button. I appreciate all the likes. Almost 60 likes. That's badass. Thank you, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and don't forget, we're running the Trading Floor yearly deal right now. If you want to talk about it, private message me on Discord, and we'll talk about it a bit more. Take $100 off yearly with code BIGMONEY. Travis, if you like the Trading Floor, hit me up like next week, and we can get you like an upgrade deal where it saves you even more money since you just bought the monthly. Hell yeah, let's go. 60th like. Let's go. No Ovi talk today? Yeah, have a great weekend, guys. I'm playing some golf. I'm praying I can do good. I need some good luck out there. Because I'm not very good. But I should be able... If I could just shoot like mid-80s or like low 80s, I'll win. So, that's all I need to do. Alrighty, guys. Have a great one. I'll talk to you later. See you guys in the trading floor. If you need anything, definitely hop in and let me know. Man, Travis. Everybody plays golf. We gotta do a golf meetup one of these days. Have a great one, guys.